ladders, again, you can't build any new ladders, but you can maintain ladders indefinitely. So, when I get there to an iron one, and it ends 8 feet off the ground, it's a pre-existing non-conforming ladder. Now, can I modify it? Yes. So that it comes all the way to the ground with either cables or weight boxes? Yes. But I will tell you, it's pre-existing non-conforming because grandma can't jump 8 feet. Now, can they turn that over to a stair? Yes. Can a stair come back to a ladder? No. We'll also talk to you about when it comes to ladders, that a key in some of these fire escapes that got put in, and we'll cover that when we go over all the types of fire escapes, is if that building doesn't have a permit process for that fire escape that went up, you got a lot of fire escapes that were shoehorned in with a balcony and a ladder that were never to code. So those you'll force, if you wish, to either allow it to be a pre-existing non-conforming or say, hey, I need a new staircase to the ground. I don't want you out of the window, I want you out of the door. I don't want it 24 inches wide, I want it 36 inches wide, 7-Eleven. I want to bring my fridge up and down that rear stair.
My problem is, I have two fire escapes anyway, and they're in a historical.
Hysterical, I'll deal with hysterical today.
Hysterical society also.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure my ducks are on the road before I.
Here's, well, you can never have your ducks in a row with the hysterical society. You can only bring your shotgun. To reason with them, you know what I'm saying? But but here's the rule about hysterical people, committees, in regards to anything related to fire escape. I can take a mansion that is on the historical register and it needs a fire escape, and they say no, 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 and I will say yes, 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 because it's a matter of life safety. So I will throw you, I'll put it whatever I damn please. They love it when you take them away, you know what I'm saying, and provide the internal means. They love that, but that usually is not feasible for the real estate on the inside. So the hysterical people are, you can maintain things indefinitely, and we just covered this yesterday on a 22-story building, 2 days ago, in Richmond, Virginia. That's where we were at teaching this class. They had a 22-story where the hysterical people says, you can't touch this fire escape on the front of the
You
building.
can't have that in here.
So, and they had already
can't
gutted
have
the
that,
building
yeah.
and put in 2 staircases inside, so they really didn't need, as a developer, didn't need the outside fire escape. So what we told them is the norm, what you have to do to that is on the inside of the building, you have to block access to the fire escape. Because now it's an ornament on your building.
Phil Auckland, did you see
The
that?
fire escape needs to be fully refurbished, not because you're gonna use it, just so it doesn't fall off people's heads. Because now you're refurbishing the ornament.
Teacher for kitchen.
So it's a skinny stair, it doesn't matter, it's just an ornament.
But it's-
On the fire escape at the very bottom of it, for the first 2 or 3 levels, or the first 7 levels, because that's the height of a
It's
typical
everything.
extension ladder, for 7 stories,
I paid.
you have a sign for your firemen that say, don't get on this thing, because you can't get into the building anyway, because the windows that are looking at it are blocked with metal on the inside, or it's one of the fake windows that used to go to the fire escape.
And then you can
Sheet
spread
rock.
it to the.
On the outside is a fake window. So there's no way I can get on there, and then as long as you notify the firemen on the bottom end that they can't get on it, even though it's structurally sound, they're gonna break a window that they, unless they're gonna break a window and come through a wall, they're not gonna fight the fire through that anyway. And your pre-plans will determine that that 22-story building, that those fire escapes are not have no use, because they don't allow ingress and no egress. So that's how you handle the hysterical committees. Okay? But otherwise, they usually love you to remove fire escapes. You know what I'm saying? They love it. So a lot of times, hey, can I remove the fire escape from the front and stick it on the back? It makes them happy. The visual view is what they want. You know what makes them happy? They make you spend your money to make the thing look like 100 years ago. But yet you go to their house and say, you doing the same thing? And they say, I can't afford it. Yeah. These usually people that, sadly, didn't really do too much in their lives, and they just love to stop a man that can do something. Or woman, and it's sad, but it's a catch-22. They do some good things, and every now and then they do some wacky things that just don't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? So, the true unknown, right? We're missing 1 or 2 more guys, that's it? All right.
They're still smoking.
No problem. So the true unknown is really what goes into the wall. Have we answered your wall issue? So what do you do with everything that is buried into any wall of any building, 50, 75, 100 years old? What do you do?
Leave it alone.
You bring Superman in, or you just leave it alone? Let sleeping dogs lie, and you say, hey, verify it. If you have a method of verifying, and they can, sometimes they can drill a hole on the inside wall, put in that snake, and take photographs and stuff. That's called verification. Otherwise, what do you want?
3/4 inch pole.
Duplicated with 3/4 through rod with a plate, or epoxy bolts, right? One epoxy bolt,
Yeah.
two epoxy bolts, right? There's been some failure rates on some epoxy bolts, so to the point that even now there's rules for proper installation of epoxy bolts. So that's why in most of the cases, you don't really deal with epoxy bolts. Unless there's gonna be a lot of damage on the inside, you through bolt it, you just forget about it. Put the plate, and then they re-sheet rock over the plate on the inside, okay? All right.
Do you need pictures of that inside plate?
Usually that's what happens, when you, a lot of times on wood structures, that's how we verify it. Instead of damaging the wall, we drill a 1-inch hole, put in that snake, and then we start photographing it using the little digital snake, that the plate inside is not rotted, the digital plate. The plate inside has picked up something heavy and something strong, you know what I'm saying? One of the studs. Okay? We'll cover that.
A startling scene in downtown Colorado Springs Wednesday after a man falls to his death.
I was just walking up the street to get to the bus stop, and the cops were right there, told me I couldn't come this way.
Police say the victim and several others were working on the roof of this privately owned building when the man fell.
He may have fallen a distance of anywhere from 15 to 20 feet is what's being investigated right now.
Tragically, the man died on scene. It's believed he fell from the fire escape and not the roof or a window, although how it happened is still unknown.
That's what's being investigated right now to determine the actual cause of the accident itself.
Right now, police say the death is not criminal and is being called an industrial accident.
There were several witnesses, individuals who were working with the deceased party, and so we've interviewed them as witnesses in this investigation.
It's really sad. I feel bad for his family. I mean, I don't know him, but prayers and best wishes to his family for sure.
Others in the area expressing similar concerns and well wishes, visibly distraught by the day's events.
I mean, I can't even imagine it, just coming out to do your job one day and just fall off a building. Like, it's really sad.
So, again, this is you have some of these, the cables on the nose, and the weight goes up to some pulley, and then the weight hangs over the sidewalk somewhere. But guess what happens? There's two things that happen when the cable snaps. Not only does it just drop the cantilever to the ground, but the weight box is over some sidewalk, and what happens to it? Comes crashing down, so it could basically have two effects. So they went out on this fire escape because the cable wouldn't come down, they went out. He brought two more guys with him to basically put enough weight on the nose to make it come down, and the cable snapped. I was told that the cable whipping, you know, like basically a cable that's just flying along, and just caught him underneath here, and just decapitated him. That's why he died on scene. So that's a vendor. So firemen die on these things, vendors die on these things, and tenants in Philadelphia die on these things. We'll tell you some other people that have died. This is Boston. This is a 5-story. This is a 5-story. But on a hill, my 5-story window feeds the roof of the next door neighbor's deck. So, some young kids, I don't say young, they're in the 25 to 30-year-old range, late night coming back from clubbing, him and his girlfriend go out to the roof's deck. It's a nice summer day, drinking some beers, phone rings. The girlfriend says, I'll get it, but because she doesn't know that there's a railing missing right there, she drops 5 stories to the ground. That's called not a live load test, that's a dead load test. There's another one that we did, and I think it was Blackstone. And what happened was, this fire escape used to be right there. I'm on a fire escape, and that's a fire escape, and this fire escape, it's triplets, they all look the same. The owners changed the roof. Him and his son did the work. And then he put all the fire escape back on there and had extra bolts. What do you do with extra bolts when you They're in your bolt collection box, that's where I put them, in case I need them for something else. And so this fire escape basically dropped 12 feet to the roof below. Got it? So there was 5 people on this, the buyer and the real estate seller. The 2 real estate agents, the buyer and the seller, plus a condo trustee. And they all fell. You know what happened? They were all underneath all this mess, right? And they had their cell phones with them. First call? Who do you call? Fire department. Call your lawyer. Tell them what? Get over there quick, take some pictures, and then have your lawyer call who? Fire department. So this caused a major lawsuit issue. There's another case I was involved in Iowa. I was an expert witness. So a guy that owns many, many buildings, 40, 50 buildings in Iowa, and deals with all the housing students there. There was a problem here. So he had his guys come in and fix this window and some of the siding here. So his guys, this has a bracket here and a bracket there, through bolted with a plate on the side. So the guys took it out because they needed to get out of the way, fixed the problem, and then put the bracket back with a screw. So take the through bolt out that was 1/2 inch and put a 1/2 inch slag screw. And when you put people on this fire escape up there, it goes boom, boom, ground, blood, 3 people, lawsuits. Now, when you have an accident, nobody died, but somebody's severely injured, where do you put the,
Looks like the leg.
the evidence or the fire escape pieces? Where would you put them? How would you secure the evidence? Well, in Iowa, they take it about 8 blocks away, they throw it in the field.
Hold on a second,
So here we are in the field.
please.
Guess what we found? The smoking gun. The bolt was still there. As we investigated the pieces, we found the bolt and the bracket and why the thing failed.
How did you find the pieces?
They were thrown in the field. Oh, they told us. Oh, yeah. I said, did you put it in the garage somewhere so we can go and do the investigation? No, they said, oh, the owner owns some land down here. We threw it in the field over there.
Might be down here. This was at the staircase, that one on the roof, and this was the little leg. I don't know where this comes from yet, but we'll still keep looking, but it looked like, actually, well, there's evidence that this, it had one there and it had one there. It looks like it's the same size. And as a matter of fact, there's probably a match. Washer.
So what used to be through bolts now has black screws.
But now,
So this case settled pretty quick.
this is indicating that this was out and exposed for it to rust. This is a galvanized, not even a galvanized, this is a zinc-plated bolt. And for it to rust here and not here is an indicator that water was getting to it. And it pulled out enough, it was pulling out enough, so there was evidence that it was pulling out already for this to rust and that not, because that was buried in the woods stayed away from the weather. So there was also evidence that it was already.
So it was already pulling out of the wall with those kids over there that watched the fireworks on July 4th. That's the only reason they were there. They went up there to basically get a better view of the fireworks. 2 girls and a guy. Then they put it back. And they put it back, and they put the through bolts back in, but they were a little bit unsure of themselves, so they put a leg to the ground on pressure-treated sleepers or on the asphalt shingles.
Right on the shingles.
Right on the shingles, because that's how we do it over there. See these 2 legs over here? Those weren't there before. So they put 2 legs on that, on pressure-treated sleepers or on the asphalt shingles? On the shingles. That's how we do it over there. And in that corner, remember I was talking to you about there was a bracket that had a corner? So in that corner, there's a hole there for you to screw that corner back in because it turns the corner. I was able to go there and pick up the lower bracket, walk it out a couple feet, and then bring it back in. So was it properly reinstalled?
No.
So this
But right now, firefighters are taking down the ladders and rolling up the hoses. But earlier in the night, when they pulled up, there were flames coming out of the side of the building. Firefighters say it was one of the scarier moments because when you pull up to a building and you see children and mothers hanging off the side of the fire escape, smoke swirling around them. They said that's scary, scary stuff. They got up there, they got the ladders up, and they said nobody got hurt.
The fire escape, there was 3 or 4 people hanging off the fire escape. They couldn't get off. They were just on the fire escapes. I had people hanging in the fire escapes at the rear of the building, and on this side of the building, we had a bunch of people on that fire escape.
About 50 people were displaced inside this building. However, firefighters say there's good news tonight. It looks like everybody will be allowed to go back in except the one unit where the fire was in. They said that's good luck to them tonight. I'm Bob Wilson on the scene of Bridgeport, News 8.
50 people were displaced, and they let them back in. Why? Reset the clock, right? So all the fire escapes held people. So when they arrived, was this a firefight or was this a rescue mission?
Rescue.
So how much time did they waste trying to get all the people off the fire escape, including that little girl who must have been about 8 years old, on a ladder that wouldn't come down? So they had people trapped in the front, people trapped in the back, people trapped on the side. All they had was just one. This is a huge complex of apartments. We looked at this thing 6 months later. All the fire escapes were condemned. So what occurs? You know, sometimes the fire department basically doesn't have an answer. They didn't know about the scaffolding. So can they put everybody back in this building once they put up some scaffolding? Can they let these people back in the building if the fire escape is suspect? So scaffolding is your answer. So it's not just you're shutting things down. You're shutting things down when you have a solution, which is what? Providing other means. You can also have a fire watch. In some cases, you may say, you know what? I don't need scaffolding here. We're going to get this matter resolved pretty quick. But we do need a fire watch for the next 24 to 48 hours, full time, until the situation resolves itself pretty quickly. Can you do that?
Yes.
Because it's got to satisfy you. It doesn't have to satisfy anybody else other than the building official and the fire official, that means are being taken to protect people from getting hurt. So can certain portions of a building be shut down while the rest of it continues using fire watch systems?
Yes.
It's all up to you. Got it? So, but scaffolding is a catch-all. All right, guys, so some additional live load testing. Parades, bring out who? EMS sometimes can't get to certain people, and this is the only way to get to certain people, through a window. Firefighters, when all hell breaks loose, what's the only thing they got left? That right there is a vendor. One of our vendors, one of the guys we work with, it's part of our network in Chicago, his father, I think he was 57 years old, fell 7 stories to his death, doing exactly that. Just one bolt, one thing, and it all came tumbling down. His son had to finish the fire escape system. So, can you imagine? But fire escapes, they'll kill everybody. They don't care. Children, tenants, firefighters. You know who they don't kill?
People that don't use them.
Landlords collecting rent. So, one of the things we'd like to do nationwide is actually have legislation saying that from now on, all buildings with fire escapes, only the owner can collect the rent check, and only through the fire escape system. So all tenants now are going to tape their rent check to the outside of the window. Okay? So you may be taping quite a few of your checks there. So you tape, and only the owner, not his agent, not the management company, can collect that rent through the fire escape system. That's what should be the law. And you can see a lot of these fire escapes fixed. But right now, they're far removed, they're far away. And sadly, the envelope of that building has gone through every transformation possible. Proper smokes, proper sprinklers, proper extinguishers, proper, everything. But as soon as you step out that door, right? Now here's the funny thing. If I have a building that you guys walk into, and you know the building very well, and it has a front stairway and a back stairway enclosed, and a year later you show up in that building and they took out that stairwell to make additional closet space for all the apartments, what would you do to that building?
Shut it down.
You'd shut it down, right? You take that, then there's a building right next to it exact same type of building, but the building has a front stairway and a back staircase outside, or a fire escape. And you get there, and you find that the owners took out the stairs because they used to block the view of the lake. So they kept the balconies, but they took out the staircases on the back. What would you do to that building? No, you wouldn't. Nobody shuts down. Once it's outside, it's a bastard child of egress, you're right in violation, they got 3 months, 6 months. You probably have to have your lawyer bring them to court, you know, because as soon as you take that egress outside, it loses all its respect. You touch an inside stair, you piss a bunch of people off. But you bring it outside, it's out of sight, out of mind, and it's an exterior fire escape, and you know, it could be dangling off the building. You guys will not close that building down. Why? That's just what happened, you know. I don't know how it got that far, but it's a second means of egress. So we have all these requirements. Can anybody occupy a building? It doesn't have two means of egress under any code. Fire, building, or OSHA. Right?
They can. You can have a single means of egress within an office building.
You can have a single means. If they have a sprinkler system.
Or they have a director level of discharge.
First level, yeah. A lot of times, what he's talking about that happens quite often is you'll get to a single family home, and this confuses a lot of people. And I have a front door and a back door. It's two means of egress. I have a second floor rooms and third floor rooms in the attic. Do I need a fire escape? Single family. Nope.
If it's more than 20 feet above grade, you need a secondary.
No,
Well,
well, for single family.
Yeah, you do.
Well, again, I'm not here to interpret code because everybody has a twist on the code. I'm just telling you that a mansion that I have, and it has, you know, two means of egress, a front and a rear door, and then everybody lives upstairs. I don't need a second means of egress. I can have a townhouse in your downtown, and it's 6 stories tall, and I bought the whole thing, and I have a front door and a back door, and then a side stair that goes the whole length of the thing. I don't need a fire escape in all the bedrooms upstairs, because it's a single family. As soon as I turn it into 6 apartments, I need a fire escape in the back. As soon as I turn it into 6 condos, I need a fire escape in the back. Okay? So this single means, and let's be clear, in your code, there's also, if you have a sprinkler system, it can be in lieu of a second means of egress.
Correct.
Got it? So now here's the problem with that. If I shut off the water, what happened to your second means of egress? So it's still there though, it says I can do it, but you know who else is gonna nix your great idea for that building? Who didn't want to do a fire escape and you made them put in sprinklers? The insurance company's gonna walk in and say, hey, where's your second means of egress? It says, oh, the code said sprinkler or fire escape, I chose sprinklers. He goes, that's great, but now you're a high-risk building. You're not $5,000 a year for insurance, you're $10,000 a year for insurance. Because you're in a high-risk category. They're like, but, he says, yeah, I know you met the code, but we want a second means of egress that water pressure is not a big concern. So you're in a high risk, so now either put up a fire escape to keep your current insurance at $5 grand, or we'll keep you, or actually just deny you and go get somebody else who handles high risk. Because even if we took you, we want 10, but normally the pool that covers is 15 grand. So that's another thing that triggers people, even after getting sprinkler systems from you guys, they still have to put a fire escape in. Okay? So, oh, and the kids, those are the pre-air conditioning days. Remember people who sleep out in the fire escapes? So, but now who else is using fire escapes? Non-smoking buildings, where do you go? You're getting married, where do you go? Kids who need to air out their rooms, either for their candles or for the potpourri smell that's in that room. Where do they go? So they get on grandma's back who is 75 plus years old, guys. Who inspects fire escapes? Let's talk about, the code is very clear. If you read in your book, the International Fire Code and the International Building Code, if you read just on the front page here, so this is a building code for Massachusetts, but it represents the International Building Code. All exterior bridges Have I mentioned fire escapes yet? Steel or wooden stairways, have I mentioned fire escapes yet? Steel or wooden stairways, does that cover every porch, every deck, every steel or wooden stairways? Spiral stairs, everything that's out there, does it need to be examined under IBC? And egress balconies. And shall be examined. So don't forget, what's a bridge, by the way? Is that those skywalks in between buildings? So if those are privately owned, those need to be? How about a little bridge over a little babbling brook that I use my car to drive over? Does that have to be examined? If I own a little bridge over a little river in my own private land?
If you want it,
What's this say?
it has to be inspected.
Has to be inspected, right? So you own a dam, a bridge, or whatever. So, and here's who can test it, ready? Shall be examined and/or tested and certified for structural adequacy every 5 years by a registered professional or others acceptable to the building official. So there's your code. Who can inspect? Registered professionals. Structural engineers or civil engineers?
Qualified.
Qualified. Anybody that's registered can, basically says, I'm gonna do this, can you deny him? He can also put pressure on you and say, hey, you're gonna take it, because I'm a registered engineer. I'm civil, you know, I deal with lumber all day long, but, you know, you're gonna take mine, because it's a friend of mine that I'm dealing with. What are you gonna throw on him? What are you gonna pull out of your back pocket?
Load test.
Right? So if he starts pushing his weight around, what do you pull out of your pocket? Now, every now and then, architects are gonna step in. Now, these are, you know, you're gonna get some landscape architects, design architects, you're gonna get, you know, paint architects, you're gonna get all kinds of crazy people showing up, and they wanna look at this farscape for their friend and sign off on it. What do you pull out of your back pocket on that guy? You're also gonna have city officials that everybody tells me is already said the farscape is good. So when your clients tell the design professional that the city official already looked at it, I just need a little sign off from you, what do we say?
Load test it, right?
Do city officials load test farscapes? I mean, do they examine farscapes? No, they write violations, but they don't examine farscapes, but sometimes that's what we hear from the people you just visited. They said, everything is fine here, just give me a certification on that. So when you say, it looks good to me, go get a cert on it, what do they tell us? That you said it was what?
In compliance, it's good.
It looks good to me, man, just go get a little piece of paper for me, which is an opinion letter. You accept opinion letters? With load test, or you accept other evidence of strength, which is a full refurb, and there is no load test. Farscape inspectors in Boston, the city of Boston, if you are in the ornamental field and you specialize in the farscape, you can sign. So I've been signing for over 15 years. Harvard University, MIT, farscape certificates. But now some cities don't accept it. Some cities do. And in California, they have the Reg 4. I paid $1,000 for my license. I'm a certified farscape tester. 2 licenses only. Do we need a national certification program? The answer is yes. We're going to try to put that together through the National Farscape Association. But that's down the road. We got bigger problems now. Now, who do you need to fix anything you got? Is there, if this building had a fire escape, is there a registered design professional within a mile of here? A mile of here. Can you find a registered design professional? Within 5 to 10 miles, I'm just using an example. Can you find somebody up here to look at a farscape for you?
Yeah.
Is there a repair vendor is there a welder or an iron worker within 10 miles of here?
Yes.
Is there a painting company that has a renovator's license within?
Yeah.
So everybody you need
Yes.
so everybody's already there, they just don't know what the standards are. So we're just basically talking about the standards. And if you read the standards, in layman's terms, it says right there, Mr. Design Professional, read this if that's your duty. You're a repair vendor. In layman's terms, what I'm looking for as a city official. And in layman's terms, if you're going to paint this thing, in layman's terms, this is what. Can you fudge and blue and gray any of this area? They always will. But it's written out for you. This farscape, pass or fail? right? Pretty obvious to you, right?
More rust than paint.
More rust than paint. And what happened, this is in Fort Lee, New Jersey. Not many of you know, but Fort Lee was the Hollywood of the silent movie era. And this building was actually one of the studios that did all the silent movies. Now it's basically a storage facility. But, you know who called me on this? Was it the fire official, the building official, the owner, or the owner's secretary? The secretary who just received a report from a registered engineer that said, this, give me a single page. He said, fix 4 things, paint it, and to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, I'll sign off on it. We went there, and that's the size of it. We condemned it. Look at all the red things. Red means, you know, dangling treads, falling treads, all the way to the roof. We hammer tested everything, and why? Because he doesn't know his job, or quick money, opinions only, drive-by, fly-bys, roll the window down, grab a check, look up and say, yeah, scrape and paint it, and call me. And by the way, to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, this is not a destructive test. Which he's trying to say, he didn't load test it. So in case anything happens, he's really relying on the vendor to do the right thing. When who's supposed to be doing the right thing? The examiner is supposed to be doing the right thing. Criteria and guidelines for the vendor. The design professional checks throughout the progress of everything going on, because who's going to make sure that it got done right? You or the design professional? Design professional. If you question the design professional has been properly looking over things, what do you pull out of the back? If he spot repairs anything and leaves behind original hardware, what do you throw at him anyway? If he fully refurbishes and convinces you that he's tied it back into the building correctly, what don't you order? He can still do, you know, top of the line refurb work, and you're looking at this building and the walls are messy, and you know, it's like, what can you order? Because is the fire escape gonna fail, or the wall could fail? So you can have questions where you're like, oh, get on the side of the building, the thing is bulging out, and like, holy, yeah, we did everything, we tied it all back in, but the building now is crap. So what do you order? Or a wall investigation, which has nothing to do with the fire escape other than it's a component that the fire escape is tying into. So it's an individual evaluation of the wall. And if that's not to your satisfaction, what are you going to order? A load test. Here's another building we did in Chicago. This has about 150 apartments. And every one of these fire escape systems, instead of having brackets underneath, it has the suspended brackets. And so it comes down, and then it turns, and then there's a nut, you know, that holds, so you're suspending it. I said, just paint it. I got an engineer's letter here, and he says everything is good, looks good, just paint it. And by the way, to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief. So let me just take a quick peek just to make sure it's safe. This is what I found. Those are the bolts that come from above and come down, and you know, with the nut on this. Are you aware of? I said that to the management company. I said that to everybody that wanted to hear. And what do they want to hear?
Hear from you.
They didn't want to hear from me. Get this guy out of here. Right?
Did you walk up on that?
I did. That's how I got these photos.
That's what I think it.
Now, what if they call you on it and want to have a load testing? Who does that?
Well, we'll show you a load test coming up.
Okay.
You can perform a load test, you know, under the direction of engineer's criteria. Load tests can be performed by a lot of professional people that are out there, contractors and whatever. Usually they want that to be load testing companies or testing companies themselves, so they're prepared for that. But we got a load test. I got a video to show you guys a load test. But that's a great question. Would I load test this?
No,
No. The owner says, I'll pay any money you want.
no. You ain't got enough.
You ain't got enough.
I'll load test it after you refurb it.
Well, and we've done that. We've had, we had a fire, and it's coming up. We actually have a fire escape that we refurbished in California, 10-story, and guess what the owner wanted? He's still, I said, but you don't need one. But I have money I want to give you.
Okay.
Okay. And I videotaped it, for what purpose?
Educational.
To show you that there's various parts of load testing. Load testing is 50-pound sandbags. And the straw that broke the camel's back, what do? Right? That's 50-pound bags at a time, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 pounds. Second way is water bags. Same thing, right? Put water bags down at 50 pounds apiece, or plates, right? A lot of times with the water bags, you fill water bags up above, and then you, through drainage, you just basically fill water bags, so it's, you know, the waterfall effect, right? And the last one is cables. You put the weight of the ground, you run cables through, and basically you lift the weight at the bottom an inch off the ground, so that all of a sudden it exerts 3,000 pounds. So I'll show you all three here. So can load testing be done? Do you know all three ways?
Not yet.
So if somebody says, oh, I can't find anybody to load test that, I can't, you say, dude, I really never wanted a load test. What I want you to do is fix grandma and give her what? New bolts and new paint. But should you need a load test, believe me, just go online, type in Firescape load test, and what are they gonna find? Videos. So it can be done. So, this is a detention center for juveniles under 17. When you first walk up to it, any problems? Other than it needs a paint job? But because fire escapes rot from the inside out, you get up to a rusty fire escape. How long has it been rusting usually? 25 years. And it came from where? From outside in or inside out?
Inside out.
So by the time you get to see it this way and you go underneath now, what do you see? So if your sentence for pot possession didn't kill you, right? You could get maimed or disfigured or dead because of this. And this is if you are the one getting hurt. Well, how about the fireman running into this place trying to save people? How far you have to fall before you hurt yourself as a fireman? Half inch of rust, how long?
50 years. 50 years.
Schools by the ocean, what happens?
Salt.
We do an examination. We have a little 3-pound hammer, and there's a ping pong test. When we go up a rusty fire escape that has rust in its connections, and we ping it, and it gives you a ring, how safe is it?
You're good.
You're good. Did it pass or fail?
For the moment, it has.
It failed because I can visibly see rust, but she passed, I can continue up on my journey. If I ping it and it gives me a pong, it pings on the left, but it pongs on the right, and I've got rust in the connection, or not, what don't I have?
Strength.
I don't have strength. I shouldn't step on it. So that's why we bring a hammer and we ping pong the treads. It's a safety. It's not a test. It's not part of the load testing. So the hammer is not a load test. 50-pound bags multiplied by 10, 20, 30 times, that's the load test for an hour. And when I have 1,000 pounds to put on something, I got to put 400 pounds or 40% of the load for about 10 to 15 minutes to 20 minutes, again, under the direction of an engineer that gives you criteria and guidelines. I take measurements before, during, and after. A lot of time wasted here. Once it hasn't done anything with 40% load, then I put what back on it? More bags. So I put the remaining 600 pounds, and I take measurements before, during, and after, so that means I have to get close to the action. Love that job.
And you have
Those guys that do the mines, you know, they're poking the ground. I'm like, dude, I would never do that job.
Do you have to do this on every stair?
Every stair, every platform, everything. That's why fire load tests can be $5, $10, $20, $30,000 for load testing every 5 years. That's why this is not a load test class. This is a refurbishment class. This is other evidence of strength class. Otherwise, it's fun to watch one of those. Just pull out of your pocket and say what? Load test. And they say, do you want to witness it or not? What do you say?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to be there. I want to be able to park in my car far away, my Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and I want to see how close it gets to the ground. So guys, ping pong test. Ready? This is how we found them when we got there.
I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Stay down here so I don't get hurt. And what I'll do now is I have my red, and I'll highlight it in red, to say that this is an emergency life-threatening issue that the owner needs to take care of.
Look at that tread up above.
Yeah, that's no good.
That's pretty good.
Spray everywhere, where you can.
This goes to your company,
Yes.
that's one of your guys.
Yeah. So it's a niche market. So let's talk about companies. Who can do this? Okay, so a lot of people say, oh, you know, you got to market corners. No, nobody wants to do this stuff. So I'm one of the few national companies. There is no fire escape companies in the nation right now. So I'm one of the only fire escape companies in the nation. So I only do fire escapes. But there's plenty of ironwork companies that do railings and window guards, and they'll also fix fire escapes. So within 10 miles, can you have somebody do this? I'm a fire escape inspector. I also have titled myself, like the trained engineers, a fire escape engineer. Am I a structural engineer? No, I'm a licensed and certified fire escape engineer. Okay, but I'm not a structural engineer. But I have plenty of design professionals on my staff nationwide to help me with any situation that comes across. So, as far as companies, there's plenty of companies to get any and all this work done. They just have to know what the rules are. And what are you learning today? What the rules are. So, if anybody complains to you that there's some guy out of Boston that's trying to corner the market, what do you say? Get in. Listen, guys, I'll tell you why it's $1 billion industry asleep on its side. Ready?
Grab a clipboard.
Grab a clipboard, right? Well, we're always looking for people, and believe that some of the fire inspectors and the building inspectors make great part-time jobs. But here's the thing you gotta look at. Here's why it's $1 billion industry. And the first ones to awaken it are right here. Because it was supposed to be awakened anyway, so that's the mistake that was made, that it just fell out of favor. It was outside. You guys did a great job on the envelope. Everything except the fire escape. But it's $1 billion industry for this reason. Is there 10 million buildings in the US? Is 10% of them at least 50, 75, or 100 years old?
Yes.
That only leaves 1 million buildings, guys, not too many more, not too many. Every one of those million buildings now by IFC 2000, it says that they must be examined every 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So there's an examination coming. So if you examine 1 million buildings and you only charge $100, what's that market worth? So 1 million times $100.
I don't know.
It's a 100 million market, so plenty of room for everybody. By the way, every fire escape that gets examined only is gonna need a $1,000 paint job. Every one of them is gonna be pristine, there's not gonna be a damn thing not wrong with them, and they only need $1,000. So 1 million buildings times $1,000 maximum potential income that you can make it, what's 1,000 times a million? It's $1 billion. This is $1 billion industry in its worst case. So my dad and I my dad dragged me into this when I was 12, I'm 53, in 71, so I've been at this for 40 years. I have a master's degree in reverse stupidity. I know all the wrong ways to fix a fire escape. But because I've eliminated all the wrong ways, you know what's left?
The right way.
The right ways. And so I share right now with you guys the right ways, and there's plenty of competitors out there that still want to do it the wrong way, and you guys have all been deputized by the National Fire Escape Association to basically stop these people from basically hand grenading this country. Because every time they go in and they play hide and seek with a fire escape repair, and this is how they do it, they'll walk in, paint the fire escape first, caulk it second, fix it third, and only the obvious. So that's all you're stopping. So every one of these fire escapes that you basically haven't done correctly means anybody in the area can make money off of it. Competition will take care of itself as to who's right and who's wrong, but no matter what, you gotta do it and still keep your doors open. So it'll all work itself out. But the IFC 2012 saying that this is gonna happen every 5 years was the game changer to help everybody say the 5-year rule is now in effect. Even if it's not part of your code. Throw it into your local municipality or your local ordinances and make it happen. Standard. Okay? So So, we talked about all the codes. You guys have the best code in that the authority having jurisdiction basically explains all the rest of these things. So in the fire code, it says testings are all, fire escapes shall be examined. Is that part of your code? Except by load test or other evidence of strength, so shall be examined. Tested, isn't that what you say in your code? Test, show by load test? And or certified. Isn't certified other evidence of strength for you guys? The only thing we took is, we took other evidence of strength and we sliced it into two. Can you still accept opinion letters?
Yeah.
They're great, aren't they? As long as they come with,
Load test.
which gives you what? Assurance, not insurance, not a guarantee. It gives you assurance that your code says load tested. So somebody comes in, they spot repair it, spot paint it, and you're trying to really see with that design professional how well he did it, what care he took, and he just keeps blowing you off. The owner's evasive, whatever. What do you pull out? Right? And then you have somebody else that comes in and says, hey, I've changed every bolt, would you like to see it? Well, you get there, you can see it. There's no rivets, and there's no original hardware anywhere. And by the way, let's make sure we understand clearly what rivets and hardware, major structural. Major structural is all the brackets, all the supports, everything that basically, should one of those things fail, it'll cause a catastrophe of some sort. Minor structural doesn't need to be changed out. So all the bars on the rails with little rivets on them, you don't have to change those. Because those are just routine maintenance. Got it? Scroll work and stuff on it doesn't need to be changed. As long as they're in fair condition, fair to good condition, they pass. Understand? So when they refurbish a fire escape, it's not every single piece. It's the major structural. Okay? So there's still going to be some minor stuff that you're going to see around that, should it pop for any reason, it hurts no one. That's called minor structural. So you'll see in some fire escapes, some of your pickets, some of your scroll, they're going to stay. They have a weld on it. Speaking of weld, we're going to talk about welds. A million reasons why every welded connection that you're ever going to see has to have a bolt put through it. So you give me a fire escape that's only 5 years old, and I go there and look at it, if I don't x-ray or load test it, I will put a bolt in every welded connection. So I'm going to give you a million reasons why when we get to it. Because we've suffered through the weld. A lawsuit in Chicago, okay? Do we have to beat these codes anymore? How many codes are helping you? Building department helping you? Fire department helping you? Right? And we also have somebody that's helping you, which is the OSHA, right? So do you have enough backup now that somebody can't wiggle away from you? And the state laws are, you must maintain your building in operational instant use condition, correct? So even when you're not chased by fire or code or OSHA, the state says how must you maintain your building in a safe manner at all times, right? So all the codes are in your favor. So don't forget to work with health departments, building departments, housing inspectors. Right now in Boston, a housing inspector will not let a Section 8 housing person move in until they have what attached to the rental, that guaranteed monthly rental certificate. So there's plenty. So here's the model. And if we have time today, towards the end of the day, we're going to look at some of the questions. Got it? So we'll send you this in PDF or Word form. You can modify it yourself. You can go to seattle.gov, which I recommend, portland.gov also. And what do they have on the fire prevention? Not only this confidence test, but a sprinkler confidence test, a smoke detector confidence test. So there's no shame in copying and pasting, guys. So some of the great ones out there are Portland, Oregon. They have a lot of confidence tests ready to go, downloadable, and they're all PDF and Word. Rake 4 has confidence tests ready to go out of LA. Seattle has confidence tests. Tacoma. These are all cities that have taken this course and basically over the past 3 to 5 years or more basically gone to the #1. The #1 system right now is Portland, Oregon. Okay? So here's a test, here's the tags, here's the questions, all the pertinent information. Now, of all cities, Tacoma came up with this one for us, right? You'll love this one. Ready? Tacoma, and Lowell is one of our model cities. right, that we use down in Massachusetts, and they've adopted all these activities. But here's the best one. This is the yearly exam, not by a design professional and not by others acceptable to the building official. This is for the manager of the building, the owner of the building, the agent of the building. You guys, you know how you do a yearly on somebody's building? And you check, you do your interior walks, batteries, this, that, and things. And now you want to check the means of egress. You know who fills this out? The guy. The owner or the agent or somebody that they have come in. But here's the best for you. Ready? 3 questions. Do all the bolts and supports look good to you? And he's going to say what? Pass. He's going to say, hey, the paint job, how's it looking? Good. He's going to say, oh, it passes. He's going to say all the moving parts and ladders and catwalks and stairs and windows are operable and functional. And what's he going to say? Yeah, here it is. Here's the paper. No. I need you to fill this out after you perform something for me. And so he goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, what I want you to do on the yearly, because I'll walk inside, but then now I got to go outside. I'm going to go to the sidewalk of this fire escape. I need you to go upstairs to the roof, and I need you to go over the gooseneck, come down the stairs, and at every floor open and close either every window or every door to my fire escape. Come down all the way to the bottom of the fire escape, release the cantilever or the ladder, have it drop 2 to 3 feet per second, hit the ground and stay down, and then hand me what? So you have a 5-year with us, but what do you have on a yearly basis with the owners of the building?
Self-policing.
Right? So that means they may have to open a window in a room, crawl out the stupid thing, to you or them?
Them.
Them, right? So if the window's sticking, what's that? So they're gonna go out, they're gonna come down, and and if they say to you, I ain't getting on that thing. Say, why not? What's the problem? Got it? So,
Don't look at
this one makes them walk it every year. The owner or their agent walks it every year. Can they hire us to go out there and walk this thing? Sure, yeah. Got it? But it's great because it'll give you an instantaneous sense of how things are. And this is a great one. You know what this one? When they have a ladder 10 feet off the ground. And it ends there. They're like, oh, I just need you to walk the system for me and then jump 10 feet for me, please. Like, what? I said, it's good, right? Yeah. Hey, so get up there and just jump 8 feet for me. Just jump in that snowbank over there, break your fall. Well, the guy goes, I ain't doing that. I says, exactly. The code says all egresses must be to grade. That's just a mistake that nobody's ever caught until today. And I just need you to modify that. Either put in a sliding ladder that will get you to grade, put in a fold-out ladder that will get you to grade, or take that ladder out and make a staircase to grade, either with a cantilever or a full set of stairs with a cage in case you're worried about people breaking in. Because that's one of the reasons why they eliminated a lot of these stairs, because people are breaking in. So when you put a sliding ladder or a cantilever or a fold-out, it still stops people from breaking in. Got it? When you go to Oregon, and you go to fire escape issues, Oregon, right there. This is the entire system. So if you want to sort of read up, they go and tell you what paint to use, load testing criteria. They got all kinds of stuff. How you're supposed to clean it. There's only one problem. Every now and then you catch them on a few things. And the cleaning includes sandblasting, which then takes it into what? Right, with the lead paint issue. As soon as you sandblast it, what happens?
It goes everywhere.
You need to encapsulate, negative vacuum, and basically by the time you're done with the sandblasting, guys, you can buy 2 fire escapes, brand new. Which, by the way, 20 years from now, with all these lead issues, all these fire escapes that we're certifying today, what are you going to have to do in 10, 20 years from now? Replace them. Why? Because the lead that's on them is going to be so hazardous, or they're going to keep changing the rules on it, that by the time I get there, what do I have to do to the fire escape to avoid just even the lead issue on them? And sending them to Utah to some place where I have to put, because right now, if you ever, anybody ever taken one of the renovators classes? You have to take the whatever the thing is, wrap it in plastic, because some containers, you can't just throw a tread in the thing anymore. No, you have to wrap this thing in plastic, you know, duct tape it closed, put it into a container that's covered. It gets insane. So you're gonna get situations in the future, in the next 10 to 20 years, you're looking, hey, yeah, I can fix this fire escape for about 40 grand. For 41,000, I'll replace it. Because it's just easier, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just gonna be so restrictive in what you can do, and these things are just rotting all the time.
And you were saying that you can't weld them, right?
Can't weld on, can you burn? Who took the renovators class? Can you bring flame to a piece of lead?
No.
What does a welding rod do? Does it need a flame? So can I weld on a fire escape? This is their inspection, confidence test. You look at these 22 questions, you look at our 22 questions. So we developed the first one that actually started in Seattle. And then everybody that we've taught classes to either created their own or copied, it didn't matter, it's the same 22 questions. There's a general question, and then there's structural questions, yes, no. Any opinions here? Tagging. Seattle is the only one doing the 3 tagging system. Portland does tagging also now. Tacoma does some tagging also. So every state, but this tagging, just like you tag an elevator, is one of the greatest ideas in the world, isn't it? Okay? Seattle, they want it to be 17 inches wide, 11 inches tall on 1/8 vinyl product that you can only get from Staples or some printing company. And they want the information on there. When it's inspected, when's the next inspection, who did the inspection. So let me show you what, and these are permanently attached 7 to 10 feet off the ground. You guys see the safety, the departmental procedures and guidelines? When we send you a copy of this, just grab this wording and throw it into your own city paperwork. You don't have to use this. So if it's already written out for you, modify it. It's Word or PDF. You can modify it to say more or less in the layman's term what you think this means. You know? But the tags are great because these are 8.5 by 11s. So we'll provide these to you so that you'll have your city information here, and then whoever's a vendor in your city will provide their own information over here. So when you guys are popping out yellow tags or red tags, because you guys will never pop a white one on. You guys are doing yellows and reds, it's just a warning sign. It's a tag. You just tagged it because it tells the client what to do. You know, call the city official, have it inspected, have it repaired and tested, right? So, but when you put these out with your city name on it, right? Now these fire escapes have a tag on them, and they're either on the fire escape or permanently nailed to the building, you know, somewhere that anybody running down an alleyway will be able to see it. So let's see what kind of view that looks like. This is an 11 by 17 tag. So there's the engineering firm, there's the next date of inspection, there's the date of the original inspection, there's all the kind of, you know, so this is reds, this yellows, and they're zip tied to a building, right? And here's what it looks like running down that. This is a Seattle alleyway. Okay, can you see that? And even if you guys can't read, you know, your firemen can't read, when they get it, it's white, their pre-plans tell them what?
Good to go.
Good to go. If it's got yellow or a red, what do?
Stay off of it.
And while you're dealing with yellows in repair, 3, 6, 9 months, what do you do with reds? Shut them down. Or scaffolding, and they can leave it mothballed as long as they want, because what do you got? You've got a fire escape that used to be red that you've just taken off the city books as what? As a life safety concern. So who's going to be busy first? Ironwork companies or scaffolding companies?
Scaffolding.
Right? So now this is an 8.5 by 11. There's plenty of room for the companies to put their names. Plenty of room for licenses and everything else. Do you know when the next due date is? So do you have to go back to the city to find out when the next certification is? As a city official. How about as an owner, not an owner, but somebody who's renting the property, a tenant? I'm looking at, in the elevator, if the elevator's out of date, who do I call? If I'm outside and I look outside my window, I see that the fire escape is out of date, who do I call? The owner or the city? Because the owner ain't gonna do anything about it, right? So a lot of times this will hold up rents. if everybody knows what's supposed to be certified, right? So are we starting a certification program or a tagging program in your cities? Tagging, right? And you want to use what guys to sort of get the word out on where these fire escapes are at? Pre-planning? Who do you want to use? Trainees and rookies? So you got all these firefighters that are training, that are going down and doing all kinds of runs in cities anyway, primarily in the downtown. So what do you want to hand these guys so that they already can start getting comfortable with the fire escapes that they're going to be fighting from? So what are you making them do? Be part of the next 3 to 5 years. What are they doing by going out for you? These 150 or 200 guys that are part of a training program every year. What do? It's called fire escape spotting. So they go down these alleyways. They all have the plastic yellows and reds. And what do? With their command or their battalion chief or whoever, and they're just walking down as a group of 5 or 10, and they're going down. Oh, there's another fire escape there. Can't get in the yard. What do? They tag it at the fence, right? Anywhere near the thing, they tag it, and they just, but otherwise they walk up to it and say, oh, I don't see any dangling treads, chief. Okay, then just put a yellow on this one. Yellow. Because it's part of pre-planning, right? Because they were told before, in case of fire, don't use the... So now, they're part of the program to basically get this thing back online, and it starts with the first tag. That's all. So now when they come running down that alleyway 6 months later, and all these tags have been thrown in and out, and they're looking at yellows and reds, and they get to a fire and it's got a red tag on it, because it was dangling treads, does anybody have to tell them? Or were they part of this program? So you've got some free labor there to basically, get some of these tags out. Oh, I want to get to this. What time is it? We can spend a little time on this one. You guys know there's a secret society out there that's been trying to hurt and maim firemen. And this is what they use. This is the torture chamber that they use to basically hurt firemen. They also call? Burn buildings. How many burn buildings there are in the United States that all of them have fire escapes on the outside? Now this is one in, I believe it's Watertown, Massachusetts. I did a ping pong test. And my ping pong test knocked all those treads down that day. My ping pong test, I also went inside, and you guys know how you like to smoke up the place, throw the hay in there, and fill it with water. What do you think water does to the inside staircase? So what is that? So if you don't get hurt inside, imagine a smoke test or a smoke training drill and somebody's trapped in one of these on the inside. Imagine one of your trainees gets hurt on the outside of this thing. So we examine these towers all the time. We do it for free, and whenever we do, we try to bring as many surrounding communities to the test so that we can use the actual fire escape to basically prove some points. So if you have any towers that you're aware of, call us, schedule a time, let's go out there and look at it. And minimally, let's take it offline for a minute or two until the fire escape gets fixed before you guys continue training guys unknowingly on these towers that could have some hand grenade effects. Because you guys are self-insured anyway, right? Not a big deal. It's not going to get any national or news, it's not a newsworthy piece, right? That a fireman got hurt on his own training, right? So they're out there, guys. Plenty of violations out there. Rust. This is actually a building in Boston on the Hill, up in Chelsea actually. It's a veterans home with 1 inch of rust, chunks of rust. So if the war didn't get you, rust kills. Moving trucks, trash trucks. What happens here? Are they watching? Are they looking?
Blind us.
When this happens, what do you need to let this building continue being in operation? Scaffolding. So they would come in and scaffold something on the backside of this so they can negate this. They would scaffold to that back end over here and negate this, Stabilize it, negate it. Got it? So your answer is still the same, scaffolding. You get to any residential property, there's a problem, scaffolding. Commercial property, scaffolding. School, you know, hospital, you name the situation. They're supposed to have a means of egress to the ground. That is scaffolding. Is it a permanent fix? Nope. But is it a temporary fix so everybody can take a deep breath? Because you've been ignoring it for 15 years, why can't they? You dropped the ball, why can't they? So the in-between right there is gonna be scaffold. Say, listen, I'm not here to shut things down, you need to keep the machine running. Yes?
You have to tie the scaffolding to the building?
The scaffolding company is a license and, you know, so nobody's gonna go to Home Depot and rent out their own scaffolding and do this. They're gonna have to put in a staircase that is, that's approved staircase, not a construction staircase, you know, those little skinny things that have no real, they'll put in a real staircase, and depending on the size of the building, they'll either do a 7-11, 36 inches wide, or they'll do 24, 8 and 8 rise and run. But it'll be a viable stair with rails, with blocks, with blocking and everything, and all of a sudden it'll tie into a window. You'll pick up anything that you're okay with and that you're satisfied with. So it's not me, it's not the scaffolding company, it's you saying, am I okay with this? And then you mothball the thing, and that mothball starts by blocking the interior door that usually go to the fire escape, and then the outside is gonna get all kinds of caution tape, and actually, in some cases, the same wood guys that do the wood, you know, blocking of windows, they'll block the whole bottom with plywood 8 feet tall, so that you can't even get on it. Now you can say, hey, mothball, I think as long as
That
you
has to
want.
be certified how?
I'll be pissed, but, go ahead.
That has to be certified how often?
The scaffolding? Oh, you don't, normally, you're just letting it ride for 3 to 6 months, I mean, 1 to 3 months. That's you being kind. You don't have to offer that.
But don't they have to,
The scaffolding.
daily, right? Competent person has to look at the scaffolding on a daily basis?
Good point.
I think
You know,
that's-
to me, it's your call, but I think probably
yeah.
the scaffolding company would have to come in, because don't forget, it's not to be used on a daily basis. The scaffolding is gonna be put up, and then nobody can use it. It's fire emergency only. It's not made for daily use. That's what a fire escape is. It's not made for daily use. So it's a one-time emergency use only, and most likely you will ask the scaffolding company to come in and certify it every 30 days. But you're not doing this as a long-term solution. You're saying, hey, I'm gonna buy you some time, but within the next 30 days, we will have a permanent solution for the scaffolding. Otherwise, I have bigger issues. This is just to give you guys a little breathing room to talk. Because everybody thinks you guys just want to shut buildings down. And sometimes that's what gets attention. But now, you'll get attention saying, I'm shutting your building down, let's get a scaffolding crew in here so I don't shut it down. But every 30 days, I keep coming in here and threatening you that I'm gonna do what? Shut it down, because you keep relying on the scaffolding and it's not happening. You know, you're just wasting time here. I know how you wanna waste time, go ahead. You're gonna piss me off. So it's really you basically offering the olive branch at the beginning, just to basically say, hey, we're about to go into an area that we've all made mistakes. And that's all you guys gotta remember. This client didn't make a mistake that you didn't allow to happen and you and your predecessors allowed to happen. So this is the perfect storm of stupidity on everybody's part. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So why nobody noticed this thing rusting for 25 to 50 years? Well, ask your predecessors that. You're just fixing it today, that's all I say. Listen, we've all made mistakes. Here's the olive branch, scaffolding, let's get a plan going. Slumlord, my lawyers, we calling you? Very good. Take the scaffolding down, it's not acceptable to me, and shut this building down. You know what I'm saying? Because now you took my olive branch and, you know,
Broke it.
and you broke it, yeah. So you're basically saying, we're gonna work. You know, I know the mayor, I know, you can know whoever you want. This is, you know how many codes you're breaking? First of all, you know how many people here pay rent to you that are employees? And as soon as I notify them that OSHA doesn't allow any of these people in this building, as of right now, how many rent checks you're not gonna get this? So, and I have nothing to do with OSHA. I just know the code, 1910.37. You know how many fire codes you're breaking right now? How many building codes you're breaking right now? You know how many state codes you're breaking right now? Because you must maintain this in operational instant use all the time. So, I don't know who you're gonna call, but I'll go get all those other people to come here. If you can drag the EPA in.
Whenever you're
I'll
ready.
get coffee. You tell them, I'm gonna go get some coffee. You go get who you're gonna get, because I'm gonna have a party over here, because we're talking about life safety.
Whenever you're ready.
And whenever you're ready. Yep. So, you guys, this is a city hall. You guys notice anything in city hall? This actually goes right to the mayor's secretary's office. This is how she gets in and out when the mayor's wife shows up, but this is dangerous. This is how we found another staircase when we got to a job. This is a Section 8 housing ping pong test. Got it? Look, there's treads missing and there's treads falling. That's because she never leaves. The mayor's secretary pretty much lives there. That's her little, hut up there. So we're gonna end it here. We're gonna let you guys take a break, come back at 1, right? 1 o'clock. And we're gonna talk about fire escapes. This is a fire escape I pulled off a building on a school, kindergarten to 8th grade. And I actually kept the fire escape, and I use it to basically teach classes with it. I didn't get a chance to bring it today, but it's basically a rusted piece of fire escape used until Christmas time. A few years ago when we took it out, saved it, and used it for training purposes. But I documented enough of it so I can tell you what needs to be done. So we'll see everybody back here at 1 o'clock.
So downstairs in the cafeteria, I think it's a hot lunch today. So there's salad and there's food and drinks and cookies and brownies, so.
Everybody downstairs.
Let's do it. Keep eating until it's gone because it's paid for, so.
Okay.
Awesome. Manny, you still there? Cameron?